The Galactic Council assembled in solemn silence, expecting Earth's envoy to beg for mercy. The lights dimmed. The chamber tensed. Then the doors blew open, literally, and in walked a human clad in combat boots, a cracked smile, and a Hawaiian shirt, sipping espresso like it was a tactical weapon. "Sorry I'm late," he said, brushing soot off his jacket. "Had to explain sarcasm to a plasma cannon. It didn't survive." The Galactic Council chamber was a monument to intimidation, half a mile high, shaped like an obsidian cathedral, and quiet enough to hear a photon blink. Delegates from 300 starfaring civilizations sat coiled, clustered, or suspended in their individual atmosphere pods, watching the center platform like executioners watching a guillotine. At the center stood an empty podium. For Earth. A ripple of tension moved through the council when the chamber doors slammed open with a mechanical groan that was absolutely deliberate. Out strode a human, not in ceremonial garb, not in armor, no, he wore boots caked in red Martian dust, a tattered long coat, and underneath it, a ridiculous flamingo print shirt. In one hand, a steaming espresso cup. In the other, a file marked "Top Secret," and used as a coaster. Commander Felix Trask didn't walk so much as saunter, as if the Tribunal of Galactic Justice was a local bar. He didn't bow. He didn't pause. He took the podium like it owed him money. A whisper came from the insected sector. "Is this the human ambassador?" "He's alone," another voice buzzed. Trask took a long sip and leaned into the mic. "Good morning, tyrants, war criminals, and highly sensitive bureaucrats. I'm Commander Trask, Earth's stand-in." The ambassador had a dentist appointment. Or maybe she just didn't want to sit through 5 hours of condescending slime balls pretending to be civilized. A gasp. Then silence. The Dravkar warlord slammed a claw on his armrest. "You mock the tribunal." "I do," Trask cut in. "Because it's hilarious. Your idea of diplomacy is threatening a species 20,000 years younger than you with extinction for scanning a dust cloud. Did the dust get offended?" The Vulrith Queen hissed, her voice processed through 9 translators. "You trespassed in sacred military space. The penalty is death." "Right. And last week, your swarm accidentally absorbed a peaceful agrarian moon colony because their vegetables broadcast provocative wavelengths. That was cute." Trask cracked his neck. "You want to talk penalties, let's talk receipts. Because I've got 'em." He pulled a data spike from his coat and plugged it into the podium. Holographic projections flared across the chamber, intercepted communications, leaked files, decrypted propaganda from over a dozen council-controlled empires. "This is classified," muttered a mechanical delegate from the Mecher Dominion. "Not anymore," Trask said. "Earth's behind on warp tech, sure. But we've mastered a little something called open-source intelligence and psychological warfare. Ever heard of a meme? No? You're about to." A second file played. A Vulrith commander's personal video log, singing praises to his larvae while gloating over civilian casualties. Laughter erupted, not from the council, but from the galaxy-wide broadcast viewers watching on the datanet. "Who authorized this broadcast?" snapped the Cornix High Lord. "I did." Trask didn't blink. "This tribunal's being simulcast to 412 systems. You wanted to shame humanity? You're trending instead." The room shifted. Not physically, but in energy. Delegates began to sweat, twitch, look to their aides. "You think this is a game?" the Dravkar warlord growled. "No," Trask said calmly. "I think it's a reckoning. Your councils operated under the assumption that fear keeps the galaxy in check. But fear's lazy. It's predictable. You know what's unpredictable?" He spread his arms. "A species that laughs at fear." The Vulrith Queen stood. "This is a threat. This is a warning," Trask replied. "You want to know what humans do when they're scared? We joke. When we're hurt? We joke. When we're dying? Still joking. It confuses you. You think it's weakness. It's not. It's immunity." Security drones moved in, their weapons charging. Trask's voice didn't change. You know what's funny about escalation? He said as he stepped off the podium, hands up but smile intact. It only works when the other side hasn't already hacked your systems. All lights in the chamber flickered. One by one, every drone froze midair. All security feeds switched to Earth's datanet, memes, human satire, parodies of council speeches, auto-tuned confessions, and crude animations of council members doing very compromising things with inflatable planets. Welcome to Operation Clown Shock, Trask said as delegates panicked. We didn't bring warships. We brought cultural obliteration. The Cornix High Lord shook violently. This is an act of war. Trask tilted his head. Wasn't it you who said humans were too primitive to pose a threat? Look around. We're not fighting you. Your own people are. Check the feeds. Delegates began pulling up panicked messages from their homeworlds. Civilian uprisings. Riots. Alien youth mimicking Terran humor. Soldiers refusing orders because a satirical video made their general a joke. Trask leaned against the podium again, sipping his espresso. You wanted fear. You expected trembling. Instead, you got stand up. Turns out, the galaxy doesn't need a conqueror. It needed a heckler. The Vulorith Queen's voice dropped to a hiss. What do you want? Simple, Trask said. Drop the sanctions. Drop the accusations. And maybe take a break from eating planets over bruised egos. The chamber was silent. Every delegate stunned. Trask looked around. No? He tapped his earpiece. Captain, execute Echo Protocol. High above the Citadel, a previously cloaked Terran cruiser decloaked. It didn't fire weapons. It transmitted more satire, more memes, ***, a looped video of the council chamber reacting to itself *** with exaggerated screams and laugh tracks. Trask watched the horror grow on their faces. That's just the appetizer. After a beat, the Cornix High Lord stood, shaking. We concede. The Vulorith Queen hissed. Insufferable mammal. You'll regret this. Trask smirked. Probably. But not today. And with that, he turned, tossed the now empty espresso cup behind him, and walked out, through the smoke, through the silence, through the shattered illusion that the galaxy still belonged to its oldest species. Because now, everyone watching knew the truth. Humans didn't fear the Council. They mocked it to death. The chamber hadn't stopped buzzing since Trask left the podium. Delegates were no longer seated in orderly discipline. They barked into comms, argued with aides, and stared blankly at the projection feeds lighting up with chaos. Civilian unrest had sparked on over 30 member worlds. Alien citizens, inspired by human satire, had begun openly mocking authority. Memes of the Vulorith Queen were already being spray-painted onto civic monuments. And Trask? He was casually adjusting the volume of his earpiece, listening to Earth's intel feed. Status? He muttered. Operation Clown Shock is viral across 17 core systems, came the voice of a human comms officer. Council response is fragmented. 6 resignations. 2 species locked in internal mutiny. Beautiful, Trask whispered. The Dravka warlord, face like a serrated blade, finally stood and pointed a claw at him. What do you think you've accomplished? Embarrassing us? Humiliation is not conquest. Trask looked up. You're not humiliated because I embarrassed you. You're humiliated because you thought Earth was prey. Now your people are laughing at you. You can't govern through fear when everyone's giggling. The warlord's eyes burned. You come here with arrogance, tricks, blasphemy. This is not war. It's spectacle. Trask didn't argue. He smiled. Exactly. That's what makes it worse. He activated the second spike from his coat. Another feed burst into view, this time from a council member's personal archive. Confidential war footage. Hidden atrocities. Audio overlays in 12 languages, narrated in Trask's voice, with perfect comedic timing and ruthless clarity. Let me guess, Trask said. You expected a legal defense. Instead, I gave you a talent show hosted by reality. You hid your crimes. We streamed them. You broadcast fear. We downloaded it, edited it, added subtitles, and went viral. The Vulurith Queen surged forward, wings unfurling. You are a cancer on Galactic order. Trask shrugged. So were you. But we're funnier. Council guards began to move again. Trask's hand went to the railgun under his coat. He didn't draw, not yet. But the movement made the entire chamber flinch. Call off your hackers, the Mecher delegate demanded. This instability threatens multiplanetary alignment. No, Trask replied. You don't get to negotiate now. Earth asked for respect. You gave us ultimatums. Now you're losing planets because your kids are dancing to Terran soundbites and calling your laws cringe. The Cornex High Lord rose shakily, his neural lattice flickering. This is cultural subterfuge. An act of psychological terrorism. Trask tapped his chin. Funny. We called it diplomacy with flair. He leaned forward, voice lower. You ruled by ancient power, by making others feel small. Humans don't do small. We don't shut up. We joke, we rage, we survive. You still don't understand the threat, do you? The High Lord's glow dimmed. Explain. You thought the most dangerous weapon was a fleet. Or a dreadnought. Or a black hole bomb. Trask's eyes narrowed. It's a man with nothing to lose, laughing in your face. That's your extinction protocol right there. A sudden shift. Behind the Queen, one of her own guards dropped his weapon. No words. Just a subtle movement. Others noticed. The chamber turned. The guard was laughing. Quietly. Then louder. And others joined. Vulurith guards, warriors bred for loyalty, snickering, breaking ranks. Trask grinned. It's started, hasn't it? You've lost the room. Not to force. Not to fear. To the idea that you're no longer inevitable. The Queen screamed. A psychic shriek meant to paralyze weaker minds. Trask blinked, winced, then slapped the side of his head. Jesus, that's shrill. You always scream like that when your throne gets wobbly? The Cornex High Lord spoke again. This will trigger retaliatory measures. Already has. Several fleets en route. Trask nodded. We know. We let you see what we wanted. The Earth ship you tracked, it's a decoy. The real fleet is cloaked. But that's not the win condition. The Mecher delegate narrowed its photonic sensors. Then what is? Trask's voice lowered. Collapse. From within. You don't need to beat a system if you can convince it to laugh at itself. You've trained your citizens to obey terror. We taught them to question it. His earpiece buzzed. He smiled. Reports confirm. Vulurith outer colonies in full riot. Youth sectors shut down. Propaganda centers on fire. The Queen shrieked again. You'll die for this. Trask finally drew his railgun. Pointed it at the ceiling. Fired once. A sonic round shattered the light dome, sending shards of hardened crystal raining. No casualties. Just noise. Shock. The chamber fell silent. He holstered the weapon. I'd rather live. And right now, I'm living rent-free in the heads of every tyrant in this room. His tone hardened. So here's the deal. Earth is no longer a junior species. We're a mirror. Look into it. If you don't like what you see, change it. Or keep lying. Either way, we'll be watching. And mocking. Loudly. No one spoke. Trask turned his back to them and walked for the exit. Just before he left the chamber, he paused. Oh, one more thing. He turned, smirked. Your entire wardrobe? Real ugly. You've been ruling for 1,000 years and still dress like a sentient blister. Fix that. The doors closed behind him. Inside the chamber, the council stared at one another. Old alliances fractured. Pride shattered. Not with lasers. Not with war. With one man. One voice. And the galaxy wouldn't stop laughing. Trask stood at the center of the war room buried deep beneath the Galactic Council citadel. The lights flickered above him, not from technical failure but the systemic collapse of a network too old and too arrogant to have prepared for this kind of war. A strategist's voice came through his earpiece. Civilian subnets in Sector 7 have fully defected. Their government feeds are being drowned in remixed satire. Perfect, Trask muttered, tapping commands into the panel. Broadcast team? On standby. Waiting for your signal. He stared at the screen. Every delegate who'd threatened humanity 20 minutes ago was now locked in their chamber, arguing over what just happened. They didn't get it. Not yet. They still thought the chaos could be fixed with declarations and drone deployments. It couldn't. It was spreading too fast. Sir, the Vulerith homeworld has issued an emergency communication ban, his tech officer reported. Too late. The clips got through. Which one? Trask asked. The one where the Queen tried to scream her way to dominance, and someone overdubbed it with a Terran soap opera breakdown. He exhaled a laugh. Classic. Behind him, Colonel Rika Mendez, head of Earth's Cultural Weapons Division, stepped forward, holding a datapad. You've destabilized half the outer ring, she said. You realize what that means? Trask didn't look at her. They'll fight each other trying to figure out which lie to cling to. She nodded slowly. And when the blame shifting ends, they'll turn on us. You've forced the mask off. He turned now. Good. We've warned the targets since first contact. Now they know we see it too. She held out the datapad. Then you're ready for the final sequence? Trask stared at the screen. The final trigger. The viral payload Earth had kept in reserve. Not a weapon. A collection of ideas. Skits. Spoofs. Direct-to-consciousness propaganda formatted for over 200 neural types. It would destroy every illusion of superiority the Council had built. Not with fire. With laughter. He pressed his thumb to confirm. Signal is live, said the broadcast officer. In seconds, the galactic net was saturated. Political speeches twisted into musical numbers. Oppressive mandates turned into punchlines. Heroic council war footage played backwards with circus music. Trask speeches dubbed over historical atrocities to expose their hypocrisy. More importantly, alien citizens were sharing it. Not to mock Earth, but to join in. The reaction was immediate. Protests on Altari Prime. Resignations on Dav Hex 9. In Viridin Space, an entire youth division of planetary security laid down arms to record their own comedy sketch roasting their leaders. And in the council chamber, the feed returned. Live again. Every delegate was on screen now. Not silent. Screaming. Shouting. Dozens had risen from their seats. Some were demanding Earth's immediate exile. Others were pointing fingers at each other. The illusion of order collapsed in real time. Trask stood calmly in front of the live feed. You brought us here to make us beg, he said. Now you beg for silence. But you won't get it. Because the galaxy doesn't fear you anymore. It laughs. A delegate lunged toward the camera. You've sown insurrection. Trask nodded. And it bloomed overnight. The Vulerith Queen appeared, her voice filtered through distortion, furious and cracking. Your species is a plague of madness. This is blasphemy. No, Trask said. This is evolution. You built a universe of laws without justice. Order without accountability. You called it peace. We saw the punchline. So we told it to everyone. We demand your surrender. Then demand it from your own children, he replied. Because they're the ones who turned off your signal and tuned into us. You raised them on fear. We gave them a reason to smile. Guess which one they chose. The Dravkar warlord stepped forward, visor flashing red. Then we go to war. Trask's grin vanished. You already did. But this isn't a war you understand. You can't bomb a meme. You can't erase an idea that's been mocked. Once people laugh at power, they don't forget it's just a costume. The warlord pointed. We will hunt Earth to its last ember. Trask's eyes hardened. Then bring heat. We've been tempered by fire since our birth. We're not afraid to burn. He walked toward the center of the broadcast screen, leaned in. One human, unarmed, walked into your chamber and broke your empire. Now imagine what happens when 10,000 of us start laughing. The feed cracked, scrambled, then cut. The chamber was silenced again. Earth's signal terminated by Council override. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. Trask turned to his team. Status? Rika looked stunned. They've lost at least 20 systems to internal revolts. We didn't just hack their image. We rewrote their cultural center of gravity. Anyone moving on Earth? Negative. Their fleets are frozen. Paralysis. They're debating protocol breaches instead of retaliation. Keep it that way. Leak a fake Earth fleet manifest. Make it sound absurd. Keep them chasing ghosts. Rika raised an eyebrow. You're playing this like a street con. Trask looked her in the eye. That's all power is. One long hustle. We just taught the galaxy how the game works. The room stood in stunned silence as the galactic broadcast numbers surged. Trask didn't need more explosions or declarations. He had achieved the goal. Not dominance. Not destruction. Something worse for tyrants. Relevance. He adjusted his coat, pulled another espresso shot from his wrist module, and took a sip. They'll never see us the same way again, Rika whispered. Good, Trask said. Because they were looking down. The council met in emergency session under lockdown. Lights dimmed, transmissions scrambled, exits sealed. No translators, no aides, no broadcasts. Just the last tattered scrap of their illusion, privacy. They sat in cold silence, each one trying to find words that wouldn't make them look weak. No one succeeded. He destabilized 6 systems, the Cornex High Lord said, voice low and shaking. With jokes. Parody. Satirical overlays. He weaponized your own records. The Mecher delegate snapped. You thought those war logs were secure. You approved their transmission encryption, the High Lord hissed. And your species let him inside the broadcast matrix. Another spat. The Vulerith Queen pulsed with violent energy. This isn't about encryption. This is about control. We lost it. We underestimated psychological asymmetry, murmured the Davari Chancellor. Human irrationality isn't a weakness. It's viral. The Dravkar warlord stood. He humiliated this council. He broke protocol, weaponized communication, attacked our legitimacy. We must retaliate with force. With what? The Kalthari speaker said flatly. Every fleet we launch risks inspiring more unrest. They're making heroes out of stand-up criminals. He's not a hero, the warlord barked. He doesn't have to be, said the speaker. He's a story. That's worse. Earth must be punished. Earth must be quarantined. Earth must be destroyed. Voices clashed, rose, collided. And in the center of the room, a lone console chirped. A priority signal. Secured. Council only. Authenticated. They froze. The Vulerith Queen hissed. Who would dare? The screen activated. It was Trask. Live. Again. No invitation. No warning. No respect. He looked calm, bored, somehow older. His shirt was different, still hideous, but now with animated cats and cowboy hats. You locked the doors, right? He asked. Figured as much. You really need to change those internal access protocols. Fun fact, I've been watching for 20 minutes. Council panic face? Solid meme material. The Dravkar warlord lunged at the terminal. Cut transmission. No can do, Trask said, sipping something out of a steaming mug labeled Tears of Tyrants. See, this isn't just a call. It's a lesson. Class is still in session. You are violating direct council command, snapped the Cornex. You know what I love about that phrase, Trask said. The word command. It implies you're still in charge. You're not. You're sitting in a crater and pretending the mountain's still under you. The Mecher delegate leaned in. What is your objective? Trask's smile faded. You tried to erase a civilization because it was new. You wanted obedience, not membership. You mistook humor for ignorance. And you thought humans were predictable. We're not. We're paradoxes wrapped in sarcasm. We cry during comedies and laugh at funerals. You can't control that. So now I'm giving you a chance. One. Final. Option. The room tensed. You dissolve the council. Not tomorrow. Now. You give up the seats. You let each world govern itself. You dismantle the propaganda hubs. You tell the galaxy the truth. That your rule was never justice, it was theater. Badly written, overacted, and boring. And if we refuse? The Queen growled. Trask leaned forward. Then we make you irrelevant. You already tried, she snapped. Memes? Broadcasts? You think the galaxy will hold attention forever? They don't have to, Trask said. They only need to remember the punchline. That's the thing about stories. Once they start laughing at you, they never go back to fearing you. You're bluffing. I'm human. For a moment, silence. Then Trask said, I won't contact you again. Earth will speak to planets directly. We've started something you can't control. You can either step aside with whatever dignity you have left, or you can try to stomp the fire. Just know, every step you take now will be broadcast. Every lie exposed. Every tantrum recorded, subtitled, and rescored with disco music. The Dravker stood. We will not be threatened by a talking virus in a vacation shirt. Trask nodded. Fair. But you'll be remembered as the warlord who lost the Galactic Empire to a man holding a coffee mug. The feed ended. Dead silence. They didn't speak for nearly 10 minutes. No one moved. Then, finally, the Kalthari speaker said, He won. The Queen's wings snapped. We are still standing. Barely, the Mecher delegate said. You haven't controlled your own troops in 4 hours. We can rebuild. No, said the Kornix, voice barely audible. He turned the galaxy into an audience. They don't fear us. They're watching. Waiting. Laughing. That's the end. Another long pause. The Dalvari Chancellor stood. Then we vote. Dissolution. The Vulerith Queen hissed again, but no one followed her this time. The vote passed. Across the galaxy, the signal went out. The Council disbanded. Not by war. Not by fleets. By a man who told a joke too sharp to forget. On Earth, Trask stood alone beneath a starless sky. No cameras. No audience. He took a breath and muttered to himself. They always expected us to scream. Never figured we'd laugh. He drank the last of his coffee. And for the first time in history, the galaxy belonged to the punchline.